When we normally think about predicting collective human behavior, we picture this sort of mystical crystal ball.
Right, yeah.
We imagine a team of sociologists sitting in a room debating what the masses are going to care about next week based on vibes and maybe some polling. We think of it as an art form. But what if it's not an art? What if instead it's this massive, cold, highly calibrated radar screen?
Oh, that's exactly what it is.
Right. Like, you're not guessing what people want.
Yeah.
You're mathematically tracking the blips of human attention as they form and gather and strike.
It fundamentally shifts the paradigm. I mean, we're moving entirely out of the realm of, I think people will care about this, and into the realm of the data infrastructure is currently showing a massive pressure drop in societal attention. So an inevitable wave is forming.
Okay, let's unpack this, because today we have front row seats to exactly that kind of radar screen. Welcome to today's deep dive. We're looking at a really fascinating stack of primary sources today.
Yeah, it's wild.
It really is. Specifically, it's a raw data dump and an observation log from an experimental group known as Team AI Lab. And this log is dated June 3, 2026.
And we should probably put a disclaimer here right at the start.
Yes, absolutely. I want to set the ground rules for you right up front.
Okay.
You need to be crystal clear. This is not financial advice.
Right.
This is not a guide for trading or investing or gaming the stock market in any way.
Not at all. I mean, we are strictly operating as observers of the behavioral experiment today.
Exactly. What we are doing is observing a real-time trend intelligence simulation. Team AI Lab has basically built a digital arena to track the complex raw behavior of the Japanese market.
And it's so interesting how they set it up.
Yeah, because they're pitting two opposing artificial intelligence algorithms against each other, just to see which one can better predict the societal heat, the collective focus of the Japanese populace.
The premise alone is incredibly compelling, but the actual mechanics are what make this data dump so rich. I mean, these algorithms aren't just running the same code with slightly different parameters.
Right, it's deeper than that.
Much deeper. They represent a fundamental clash of strategic philosophies. Team AI Lab has basically programmed two completely different digital survival strategies to navigate the high-heat environment of Japanese search trends and data queries.
Yeah, and I saw the names of the two teams in the logs, but I was kind of struggling to grasp how their actual coding philosophies differ. So maybe break down these two contenders for us.
Gladly. So in one corner, we have the algorithm known as Team Rhino Titans.
Okay.
And their entire predictive model is built around a concept called structural stillness.
Structural stillness. Got it.
Right. So they aren't scraping social media for quick, flashy trends or viral memes. They are seeking static equilibrium. This AI scans legislative schedules, historical bureaucratic cycles, macroeconomic calendars.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, to find deep foundational shifts in society. It looks for the heavy structural realities that just inevitably anchor human attention.
Okay, so they are looking at the foundational architecture of the society itself. What about the other one?
Well, in the other corner, you have Team Falcon arrows. And their algorithm operates on the exact opposite logic. It's a concept called kinetic propagation.
Kinetic propagation, okay.
Instead of looking at slow-moving structural foundations, Falcon Arrows is designed to ride dynamic, rapid bursts of trend energy.
Like viral stuff.
Sort of, yeah. It monitors the friction of daily life, the sudden, synchronized impulses of millions of people. It chases the fast-moving ripples on the surface of the water, basically operating on the theory that volume and speed define modern societal heat.
So it's essentially the immovable object versus the hyperactive force.
Exactly.
We're watching the slow, heavy anticipation of the Rhino Titans battle the agile, reactive speed of the Falcon Arrows. It's just this unprecedented window into how information actually flows through a modern society. So let's look at the actual data logs from today.
Let's do it.
The simulation kicks off what it calls the new deployments. And this happens at exactly 0.000 UTC, which, by the way, if you aren't familiar with global data tracking, UTC is Coordinated Universal Time.
Right, the baseline.
Yeah, it's the time standard data scientists use so that servers in Tokyo, London, and New York are all syncing up their data points perfectly without, time zone confusion.
Which is crucial when you are trying to measure synchronized human behavior down to the millisecond.
Definitely. So at 0.00 UTC, each team drops a brand new predictive keyword into the data pool for a 10-day evaluation.
They are placing their algorithmic bets, essentially.
Right, they're betting on what the Japanese public will be frantically searching for exactly 10 days from now.
This is the starting gun. It's where these abstract philosophies actually have to pick a tangible target.
Okay, let's start with Team Rhino Titans. Sticking to that structural stillness doctrine, they deployed the keyword QCON.
Ah, yes.
That translates to government benefit payment, which is categorized under finance. They are betting that 10 days from now, there's going to be this massive surge in societal attention surrounding new support measures or subsidies or maybe election-related economic policies.
Yeah, it's a very calculated move.
To me, this feels less like trying to catch a moving target and more like, I don't know, setting a mouse trap in a pantry where you know the mouse eventually has to eat.
That is a great way to look at it.
Right. Like, they know the bureaucratic gears are turning. Whenever government money is on the table, it dominates the news cycle. So they are just planting themselves there, waiting for the structural weight of the economy to trigger the trap.
That's a really apt way to describe how the algorithm values inevitability over spontaneity. I mean, it's a heavy, policy-driven bet that relies entirely on the state apparatus functioning exactly as expected.
Yeah.
Now, contrast that data point with Team Falcon arrows. Their new deployment for today is Shukujitsu, which translates simply to national holiday. And that's categorized under lifestyle.
I have to admit, when I read that in the log, I actually laughed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a national holiday. That just feels incredibly basic for an advanced AI.
It seems basic on the surface, sure, but it's a prime example of how kinetic propagation algorithms process human psychology. The AI isn't looking for a major policy shift here.
So what is it looking for?
It's betting on the sheer kinetic force of a single generic noun driving massive mainstream search volumes. The data mechanism here is fascinating.
How so?
Well, the algorithm has calculated that exactly 10 business days from now, millions of everyday workers and students across Japan will hit a specific point of fatigue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they will experience a synchronized dynamic surge of curiosity or maybe desperation, and all hit the servers at the exact same time to check their corporate calendars and figure out when their next day off is.
Okay, I actually do this myself.
Oh, wait. Oh.
If I'm having a terrible Tuesday afternoon, I will literally just type next long weekend into the search bar just for the psychological relief. So I get the volume argument, but let me push back on this a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
We're looking at a highly complex trend intelligence simulation here. Is a generic, everyday lifestyle word like shukujitsu really capable of competing with the heavy policy-driven economic trends of Kifuken? I mean, we are talking about massive government payouts versus people just Googling their next 3-day weekend. Doesn't the structural stuff inherently carry more data weight?
So you're touching on the exact tension this simulation was built to test. You might assume economic policy carries more weight because it's, serious in the news.
Right, it feels more important.
But the algorithm doesn't judge the value of the search, it measures the heat.
Oh, I see.
Never underestimate the kinetic energy of millions of tired workers seeking relief simultaneously. It's a completely different kind of societal heat.
Interesting.
One is a deep, slow burn of financial anticipation driven by the news cycle, and the other is a rapid, synchronized flash of lifestyle planning driven by pure human impulse.
So planting a mousetrap makes sense in theory, and betting on synchronized burnout makes sense in theory. But theory rarely survives contact with the real world, right?
That is so true.
Let's look at the keywords that have actually been out in the wild for a few days. The log calls these the active missions, the keywords currently navigating the rough seas of their 10-day tracking period.
And the numbers here are just wild.
Staggering. The contrast in the real-time tracking signals right now is just staggering.
It's a stark demonstration of how vulnerable different data models are to real-world friction.
Okay, so Team Rhino Titan's primary active keyword right now is Taifu, or typhoon, categorized under climate. And it is experiencing an absolute monster surge.
Huge.
It is sitting at an average of plus 1,556.7%. Let that number sink in. Over 1,500% above baseline.
The societal heat is off the charts. And meanwhile, look at what's happening to Team Falcon arrows.
It's not pretty.
Their primary active keyword is denkadai, which means electricity bill under finance, and it is basically drowning. It's currently struggling with a negative average of minus 14.7%.
So we have a literal typhoon tearing through the data pool while the electricity bill is just plummeting. Explain the sociology of why this happens.
So this gets to the core of how AI measures cognitive load.
Cognitive load.
Yeah. Denkaday, the electricity bill, is a classic kinetic propagation play. It relies on the daily dynamic friction of life. People get their bills, they complain, they search for ways to save energy.
Makes sense.
It generates a constant low-level hum of API queries and search traffic, but then you introduce Taifu.
A massive storm.
Exactly. The sheer unpredictable force of a massive weather anomaly completely overwrites that daily friction.
Because when a typhoon approaches Japan, the entire society's attention is hijacked. I mean, the trains might stop, supply chains freeze. People are frantically searching for storm paths, emergency supplies, train cancellation schedules.
Precisely. And human beings have a finite cognitive bandwidth. The algorithm is registering that normal query traffic for daily stressors like Denkaday drops to near zero.
Because people just don't care right now.
Exactly. The population simply does not have the mental energy to care about their electric bill when the roof might blow off. The structural reality of nature simply crushed the kinetic, everyday concern.
So what does this all mean for the fundamental concept of kinetic propagation? Team Falcon Arrows relies on tracking these dynamic, everyday trends. But when a major systemic shock hits the environment, does it prove that these everyday trends are just too fragile?
That's the big question.
Are they always going to be at the mercy of the Rhino Titan's structural forces?
Well, that is the defining vulnerability of the Falcon Arrows approach, and it's exactly what Team AI Lab is documenting. Kinetic energy is incredibly fast, but it is easily disrupted.
Right.
When the sociological environment is stable, that algorithm can ride daily ripples beautifully. But the Japanese market, like any modern, hyper-connected society, is rarely completely stable.
There's always something happening.
There are always sudden shocks. And in those moments of systemic shock, the structural stillness approach of the Rhino Titans shows its resilience because it anchors to things that just cannot be ignored.
Which perfectly sets up the most dramatic part of today's observation log, the mission completed reports.
Yes.
The results. It's one thing to track a storm while it's happening. It's another to look at the wreckage at the finish line. 10 days ago, these algorithms fired their predictive shots into the dark. Today, the 10-day evaluation period is over, the lights come on, and reality sets in.
This is the moment of truth. I mean, we get to see if the mathematical logic held up against the actual messy behavior of the population over a sustained period.
And the divergence between the prediction and the reality is shocking. Let's look at Team Falcon Arrow's completed mission first.
Okay.
10 days ago, they predicted that El Nino, a massive climate trend, would generate huge societal heat today. But the final outcome, a total collapse. The trend ended at minus 51.1%.
A 51% drop from the baseline expectation is catastrophic for a predictive model.
Total failure.
But we have to view this stark divergence not merely as a minor calculation error. In data science, a miss this massive is evidence of changing rules within the market.
But how does a society just suddenly stop caring about a major global climate event? I mean, 10 days ago, the algorithm saw all the signals pointing to El Nino being a massive topic.
Yeah.
Today, nobody is searching for it. What happened?
It comes back to that concept of cognitive load and the speed of the modern news cycle.
Okay.
The trend environment shifted so rapidly over those 10 days that it swallowed the existing logic whole. Perhaps a more immediate, visceral weather threat like the typhoon we just discussed completely overwrote the long-term abstract anxiety of El Nino.
That makes a lot of sense.
Or perhaps the news cycle simply saturated the topic too quickly, leading to total audience fatigue. Whatever the specific sociological cause, the algorithm failed to account for human exhaustion.
They just burned out.
Yeah, the kinetic wave they tried to ride dissipated before it ever reached the shore.
So Falcon Arrows completely wiped out on that one.
Yeah.
But amidst all that noise, amidst the failed predictions and the collapsing trends, there was an incredibly resilient adapter. Let's spotlight Team Rhino Titan's completed mission.
This one is fascinating.
10 days ago, they deployed the keyword Jiminsai, which is resident tax, under the finance category.
Not exactly a thrilling topic.
Exactly. And while the flashy climate predictions were falling apart, this incredibly unglamorous, boring tax keyword survived the rough seas. It closed out the 10-day mission at a solid plus 15.1%.
It's a brilliant vindication of their structural stillness doctrine, and it really highlights a crucial aspect of behavioral data.
I look at Rhino Titan's logic here, and it's essentially the ultimate mousetrap, like we were talking about earlier.
Right.
The trend environment over the last 10 days was chaotic. Other predictions were completely lost to the noise. But this one specific unit accurately pierced through all that chaos. It acted like a lighthouse in the dark. It found the deep structural stillness of the Japanese market to locate where the true enduring heat lay.
And why did it work?
Because resident tax bills arrive on a very specific, inescapable administrative schedule.
That is exactly the mechanism at play. I mean, you can distract a population from long-term climate change, and a typhoon might make them forget their daily electricity bill, but resident taxes are a heavy, unmoving structural reality of living in a society.
They're coming no matter what.
Exactly. When those physical and digital notices go out, a very predictable, substantial portion of the population is going to experience a spike in anxiety and immediately search for information about payment methods, deductions, or deadlines.
The dread is guaranteed.
The dread is mathematically guaranteed. The Rhino Titans algorithm didn't try to predict the chaotic, fleeting whims of the news cycle. It anchored itself to the immovable administrative realities of the state.
It played it safe, essentially.
It traded the potential for a massive viral spike for the absolute certainty of a structural event.
So, we've looked at the new deployments hitting the water, we've analyzed the real-time chaos of the active missions, and we've seen the stark realities at the 10-day finish line. Now let's zoom out and look at the cumulative data.
This is where it gets really interesting.
Because when you add up all these 10-day cycles and look at the staggering season-long war between these two philosophies, your jaw is going to hit the floor.
The disparity in the aggregated season standings is profound.
Profound is putting it mildly. Ready for this? Team Rhino Titans, with their structural stillness and their administrative mousetraps, currently sits at an astronomical plus 14,028.7% for the season.
Wow.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Team Falcon Arrows, constantly chasing those kinetic ripples and getting wiped out by systemic shocks, is sitting at minus 97.1%.
See, if we look at this through a conventional lens, it raises an important question. How should we, as observers, view Falcon Arrow's massive deficits? I mean, it is incredibly tempting to just look at that minus 97% and declare their underlying philosophy a total failure.
I mean, in literally any other context, a negative 97% return on your predictions is game over. You pull the plug on the algorithm.
You would if your goal was solely to win a competition, but we have to remember the strict observation stance of Team AI Lab. This is a cold, forward-looking research environment. From the perspective of the data scientists running the simulation, these losses from Falcon Arrows are absolutely not defeats. They are vital, precious data points.
Okay, wait. Explain the mechanism behind that. How does a massive negative number become a precious asset for a research team?
Because every missed prediction, every collapsed keyword like El Nino acts as a negative space map. It shows the researchers exactly where human attention isn't going.
Oh, okay.
When a highly sophisticated algorithm predicts that a population should care about a major topic and the population aggressively ignores it, that delta, that gap between expectation and reality tells us something profound about the behavioral limits of that society.
Oh, wow. I think I see where you're going. It's mapping the blind spot.
Exactly. It tells the researchers that the threshold for caring about long-term macro trends has shifted. By studying these failures impartially, the simulation is successfully decoding what the lab calls the behavioral kinetics of the Japanese populace.
Behavioral kinetics.
Yeah, it's not just about tracking what people search for. It's about mathematically understanding the friction that prevents them from searching for something else.
So Team Falcon Arrows might be failing to catch the waves, but in the process of wiping out, they are mapping the exact shape of the ocean floor.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
They're finding all the dead zones, all the areas where societal heat dissipates instantly due to burnout or distraction. And without those kinetic failures mapping the empty space, the structural successes of Rhino Titans wouldn't be nearly as meaningful. You need both to build a complete three-dimensional model of human behavior.
That is the ultimate goal of Team AI Lab. They aren't running this to declare one philosophy superior to the other. They are running it to eventually merge these insights.
And create a super algorithm.
Essentially, yes. The holy grail of trend intelligence is to create an integrated system that understands both the immovable administrative structures of society and the highly dynamic, unpredictable kinetics of human impulse.
Which brings us right back to you, the listener. Why does tracking this incredibly specific clash between two algorithms in a Japanese trend simulation actually matter to your daily life?
It matters a lot.
Because you and I are the ones generating this societal heat every single day. When millions of us search for a national holiday because we're burnt out, or frantically track a typhoon, or begrudgingly Google our resident taxes, we are leaving the exact digital footprints that these systems are devouring.
Yep.
Understanding how these algorithms scrape our queries, analyze our cognitive load, and predict our collective focus is vital for understanding how modern information flows. We aren't just observing an isolated AI experiment, we are looking at a highly calibrated mirror reflecting our own behavioral kinetics.
It really strips away the illusion of randomness.
Yeah, it does.
What feels like a highly personal, spontaneous moment of curiosity to the individual is, at a macro level, a highly predictable flow of kinetic energy reacting to structural realities.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. If these trend intelligence algorithms are gathering enough data on our behavioral kinetics right now, in 2026, to accurately predict the collective focus of an entire nation 10 days in advance.
Yeah.
How long until they flip the switch? How long until the architecture of these systems stops merely predicting what we are going to search for and starts using that deep mathematical understanding of our friction and our heat to subtly shape the societal focus themselves? If they know exactly where the dead zones and the pressure drops are, how long until the radar stops just watching the storms and starts creating them?